Today we talk about redefine and reclaim, aligned, not burned, freedom within, feel to heal, and live your design.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Hello and welcome to Ramblings of a Busy Mind. And we have episode, I'm pretty sure 32. I didn't look it up before. There's two things I'm really bad at. One is keeping track of my episodes, and the second one is keeping in mind how the names of my conversation partners are said or pronounced, let's say this way. And today I have Julieta Duvall, so I got that right.
Yes, yes, very much so. Hi.
And Julieta is a human design reader and she works on family transitions. First of all, explain human design.
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. And human design, in a very short version, is they call it the science of differentiation. So basically, it's a little mystical. So the tool, the system came about in a very mystical way back in the 80s through a gentleman that was Canadian, and he eventually changed his name to Ra Uru. So he uses your birth data, your month, your date, your place of birth, and your time of birth, and he produces this unique chart, like an astrological chart. It's a little bit different, but it is essentially the same. It's a blueprint of who you came to this world to be. And I discovered human design in 2021, and it changed my life forever. Like forever, 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 in the most beautiful, intangible way possible. So I have been a student of human design. I have been a reader since 2022, and I continue to learn every day from tiny humans that are my children and sharing it with people whenever they are ready, whenever they're looking for something to improve their lives. And sometimes he makes sense, and sometimes he doesn't resonate yet. So I am there for the people that are ready for it.
It's interesting. I have had some readings done. A friend of mine did that for me, and it
Okay.
was pretty spot on what was said. But
Yes.
I couldn't like for the love of me, I couldn't explain it.
Yeah, so I think it really is just it just shows us and everyone really how we are different from each other. And I think we are coming to a place in the world and society that we really see that, but there is still so much conditioning that we are having to work through because, we praise people that are like going against the grain and have done things differently, but it took them a long time to get there. And most of us have hit rock bottom in a way, when we start seeing things in a different way that really serves us. And so what human design has done for me is that it has shown me that some of the things that people in society would see as difficult or a negative trait, human design has given me the language to see them as strengths and as my superpowers. And I have loved that because my self-confidence has come back tenfold since seeing this and really not seeing that in a negative way anymore. I mean, he has done the first time I heard my busyness. So in human design, there are five types, and I am a manifesting generator. So they call it some sort of a hybrid, but really it's a generator type with a lot of energy. But one of my qualities and my strengths is the ability to be multi-passionate. And for the longest time, people shame me for it. Like literally, like people would be like, there is so much going on in your life. Like I cannot. And I would feel small for it. I would even tell people what all the stuff that was going on in my life because I was afraid that people would say that. And I'm like, I cannot. So slowly through some deconditioning of that, thinking that not everyone is ready for all the things that I'm doing, and that's okay. So it helped me to understand other people's perspective because other people are very different than me, and they may not have the energy that I have when I am completely passionate about this. And you'll see this as I go through, like my hands just get moving because I love this topic so much.
It's it's funny because I just wrote an article about labels because I had a conversation with a friend of mine, with a new friend of mine, about neurodiversity and that I don't like labels. But what that conversation taught me was that labels, on the other hand, can help you to find out where you are and why you are the way you are, as long as you don't get bound by them and tied down by them. And I think human design is the same as tarot or a medium that gives you pointers that make you understand more of what you are and what's to come or what's possible. It doesn't have to mean that it comes, but it's a possibility that it will show up in your life. And
Yes,
when you start learning working with those terms and seeing it as okay, here's an explanation, not an excuse, the explanation can help you to be more. The explanation can help you to get into a phase where you can communicate with others about your needs. And having had that conversation, it's again so interesting that we had a meeting 2 days ago, and we were talking about ways to cope. And one of my colleagues said she does a list and she starts with the smallest thing, the easiest thing. I do the same. And then the others went, no, you have to take the hardest thing first so it's done and off your list.
I do that.
The
That's the way
interesting
I,
part is if you are, and she said, I'm neurodiverse. This is the way that I have to work through. And I'm going, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I could tackle the hardest thing first, but then I don't start because I fret not doing it. While for her, it's a matter of she has to be in the flow. So my compromise was then to offer do 4 or 5 small things that you can do right away and then tackle the hard thing that needs to be done today.
yes.
But the others went, no, you have to do the hard thing first. Instead of acknowledging what she said, which basically was, I cannot do.
The hard thing first.
Yes.
Yes.
And if we don't acknowledge that people have other ways and we're so bound in our ways, that's the same with labels. You give a label and you're stuck with that label, maybe,
Yes.
right?
It's so interesting that you mentioned that because one of my friends, Tori and I have talked about the labels because we have essentially, changed the labels from being ADHD to me saying I'm multi-passionate, which is, I move in my house doing one thing and then go to another. But like you said, essentially the label doesn't bound me anymore. The label empowers me to really explore this level of freedom of truly being who I am and not really saying, well, I'm ADHD, so I can't keep my head straight and I am forever bound to this multiple times of activity. And it really isn't true because I have periods where I am completely still, completely calm, and there's nothing going in my mind. Now, grant you, they don't happen very often, but I do have them. And similar to you, or to your friend, actually, I do the hard thing first. I have a set of 3 items that I usually write down in the morning or at some point throughout the day. And those are the ones that I want to accomplish. And I do the hardest one first because I know that once I get through that, everything else is just going to be super easy. So I really love that empowerment for people to explore. And really, that's all there is. Many human design people will tell you it's an experiment. This is human design, your blueprint. There's a lot that it can tell you, a lot. Like it can really help you see the value in everything that you have in your persona. But it's at the end of the day, it's an experiment because we come with our own conditioning from being with our families, from being with our parents. Like right now, I'm in an era, you could say, that I am diving a lot more into my mom's chart.
Mm.
The relationship with my mom has always been very tumultuous, to say the least. So, and I have noticed in human design, my mom is a projector. I am a manifesting generator. And what the differences are like night and day. A projector doesn't have sacral energy, but a projector is also here to see people deeply. And that can be startling for some people. And has always, my mom's energy has always made me uncomfortable.
She called you
And
out.
not, yeah, and not to say my mom also comes with her own conditioning from her parents and from the need of recognition. So we talk about, when you're out of alignment in human design, there are feelings, right? Resentment is for projector, that's a sign that you're out of alignment. For me, it's like frustration and anger. So I know that when that comes, I have to kind of like double check, like what's happening in my life? Who is in my life that's bringing that in? And my mom had that for a long time, but I couldn't understand that because I was a child, right? I was a child that I wasn't given the freedom to move as much as I needed to because we were always busy. And I know that if my mom had known that, she would have done whatever she could to support me. And I know she would have done whatever she could to support herself, but she didn't, and we didn't. And now I know better and I do better with my own children, which is how we came into our lives in 2020 when we started homeschooling during the pandemic.
Mhm. It's interesting when you start to find those things you resonate with that tell you more about yourself. And it's different for everybody else. So some people pull cards, some people do readings, some people go see somebody else, some people dive into. And once you find the thing that resonates with you, I find it makes you smile a lot. That's the thing. And it takes away, it changes the way that you look at other things. It changes the way that you interact with other people. And um and that's so interesting. Again, when I started the podcast, my hope was to give some food for thought for people so that they have something. But there's so much food for thought from me and so much things going, like so many things going on when I do the conversations and when we have that interaction and that exchange of knowledge and ideas, that it's really, really interesting to get to a different place. And then all of a sudden you look back and I've done 32 episodes and I'm like, holy crap. How was I when I started and who am I today and where have I gone and what do I see these days that I didn't see before? And how much more understanding is there for other people?
Oh, it's the most beautiful thing though, because we really think that that nothing happens. But then once you start looking back, you're like, oh yeah, things have happened. And I have noticed, and then you have the people that are closer to you. For example, my husband, who has been an incredible partner in the last 20 years. We've been together for almost 20 years. But this whole human design experiment that we started together, he has said, like, you're a complete different person. There are more there are just so many layers, and they all started in at the time that they needed to happen, so they have been slower nowadays, I feel. But I mean, it's been the most beautiful experiment for all of us, and to share that with my children in a non-technical way, because I don't share the technicalities of human design with my children, but I kind of pay attention to some of the things that are come up in their charts, and I experiment a lot with the way I parent my children in order for us to be in alignment with each other first and foremost, and then with the world around us, right? So yeah, it's been wonderful. But like you said, once I resonated with it, because I had looked at, I went to therapy for many, many years. I have done faster EFT, which I really enjoy. I have done meditation. I did like traditional therapy. I had looked at astrology before human design. I have looked at tarot cards, which I still do. I pull a card quite often, but human design really grounded me into into finding the best way to be myself, into giving me that freedom. So my answers were coming from within. I wasn't searching for answers outside of me, which I had been for a very, very long time. I wanted the answers to come from other people.
Mm.
And the only way I could find alignment is by having the answers coming from deep, deep in my soul. And, that's kind of how I live my life now.
No, and it's interesting. Again, another thing that I had lately is about happiness and how many like strive to show the happiness to the outside and look for happiness outside instead of finding it inside,
Yeah.
right? And again,
Yes.
it's all about knowing about yourself. It's all about having a framework of, how you say that, characteristics that can explain what you are, but sometimes they are mislabeled as the ADHD.
Yes.
Sometimes and then again, I have so many people who in my life who say, "Oh, I'm ADHD," and that's everything, right? Instead of
Yes.
saying, yes, I have ADHD, I might not cope as well. Can we change the topic, or can we change the way how we approach it, right?"
Exactly.
But they
Yes.
go like they have finally the diagnosis of ADHD, and that's it. Life ends here.
Yeah. And I love that you talk about that because how many of us we produce excuses to satisfy our needs or to justify our needs. Like I need this because I'm ADHD or I need that because I'm ADHD when like for example, some of my needs are emotionally speaking, I need a lot of alone time.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally started, my husband and I were both kind of similar in that regard. Obviously it's hard when you're a parent and when we also home educate. So we're with our children a pretty, a lot of the time. The boys have different activities and stuff like that. So we're not together like 24/7, but we spend a lot of time together. So I finally stopped justifying I need to be alone because of this, or I need to be alone because of that. I just communicate with my partner and say, I'm thinking I need some alone time. There's no because of whatever. I just know I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my soul. And then we kind of work through it together. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. But we check in so often nowadays that it's really helpful because it doesn't come at the very last minute. You know, how sometimes like, there's so much going on where you just finally crash and burn and you're like, okay, now I need 3 days of being alone. I finally know now that I can't do that because everyone else's emotional needs cannot be bound to my crash and burn because I do not know how to recognize when I need something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really interesting to see that and to value my needs as important and as an important part of the structure of our family because if I'm not okay, the rest of my family, I can promise you, it's going to be rough too. My emotions are very they are just there. I have been working a lot with my emotions lately, so much that I created a small app about it to track them because there's really no rhyme or reason, but I need to know some of the outside factors that can affect my emotional waves, if that makes sense. So
Mm.
I'm tracking food, I am tracking sleep. And this is, I've always known this until now I'm paying more attention to it because I'm at a point in my life where my emotions are not just kind of like just a little wavy. They're just like up or completely down. I mean, there's no in between anymore. So
Can I
I'm like,
ask, can
I
I ask how
can't.
old you are?
I'm 43.
Is it the
Yes.
beginning?
Yes, this is the beginning. Exactly
I
right.
know that. I've been through and I actually went through during COVID, and I was not actually aware that I went through menopause during that time. But thankfully I
Yes.
was locked away because I was really mean. And
Yes.
I'm an extrovert. I like to be out with people, but I was so mean. Like cats and dogs had to suffer from verbal abuse sometimes, and I admit that for it's something you cannot help yourself, right? It's
No.
emotions are haywire,
Yes.
and you don't know what to do. And it was interesting to see then that I went to my naturopath and I told her I don't know why I'm craving, for instance, sesame seed oil, like sesame oil, so much. And she said, yeah, it's a detoxifier for estrogen. And I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. So basically, I craved all the foods that I needed in order to cope.
In order to cope.
Yeah,
The body is just beautiful. It sends you signals all the time,
yeah.
but sometimes we're just not listening. So my job right now is to listen because, like you say, your emotions, like my emotions have hijacked my body and my personality so much that it affects everyone. And that is the last thing that I want for my children to remember. You know, she was crazy for a couple of years. Like, I just do not want that, but also because I want them to know, and I share a lot with them in the sense of like my emotional habitat. That's why my son came up with a term, I said, this is what's happening to me. And he's like, oh, your emotional habitat, because I compare it to the movie Zootopia, because they go through like the tundra and the jungle, like just in between, and I'm like, my emotions are kind of like that, I'm sometimes in the jungle happy and then I'm cold and so he said, oh, it's your emotional habitat. I'm like, yes. And I just explained to them, I'm like, not with a lot of detail, but just enough words to say, this has nothing to do with you. You have not caused these emotions, because
Mm,
as children, we internalize what our parents are going through, thinking that we did something to cause that.
yeah.
And I just said, you have not caused this. My emotions have nothing to do with you, and you are not responsible for my emotions. And I am doing the best that I can to limit your exposure, but sometimes it's impossible. So here is me going through this phase of life that is very natural, but we don't talk about it enough. And it was just a conversation with my children, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then it felt like there was so much weight lifted from everyone's
Mm,
shoulders, because they don't want to see me like that. They know something is wrong. They can feel my energy is off. So. It's just communication, a lot of communication. And human design, knowing those pieces from a human design chart has helped me communicate those elements
mhm.
into bite-sized pieces for my family.
Did you ever set up some visual cues for them to like showcase you are having a moment where you don't want to be disturbed or don't approach me or something like that?
No, because what happens. So the way that happens, because I work in the airline industry, I'm a flight attendant. So usually being around a lot of people, I am emotionally drained. So usually when I come home from work, I will say hello and I will say, I'm going to take a shower. And I usually take a very long bath. And sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit rough around the edges more than so, I will actually ask my husband for him to do something with the children. So when I come home, they're actually not here, because I need to regroup. I need to be alone in a few moments. And so those are some of the boundaries. So I have noticed that usually kind of helps me regroup. And then on the following day, when I come home from work, my husband and I will talk about what's going to go with the day. And sometimes I get to do some things by myself without anyone. And then everyone is just like aware of that. So, but those are some of the boundaries and the practices that I have set in place for myself. Of course, they keep evolving. And sometimes I can't help it, because there are some times that I will be randomly sitting by my workstation, where I do a lot of cards and crafts and stuff like, so I have a little workstation, and I will just start to cry. I lit I literally just start crying. And then my oldest son will come downstairs sometimes and he'll see me and he say, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just having an emotional moment and I'm not really sure." There's no rhyme or reason, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And but he's there's a communication that is just there, and I need to go through it because what I did for a long time is that I didn't want to go through my emotional waves. I would try to stop them and find the reason of why they were happening. So
Mm,
if I feel the urge to cry, which is not very often, but some things will be trigger as I work with things from my past, especially as I'm working, like I said, I'm working with stuff with my mom that happened with my mom. As I work through those things, I sometimes feel the urge or the need to cry. Like they just
mm,
is just like releasing, right? Like I know it's a release and then it just kind of goes away. So I am a little better at welcoming those releases because I know that that will move me forward. And they're smaller now. I think at the beginning of my journey back in like 2022, maybe 2023, those releases were a lot more visceral. Like they were like full body emotions, like full body releases. And nowadays they're like smaller. So they're just things just like kind of like moving through. But yeah, so yeah, I think those are the probably the boundaries that have worked the most right now. And then also because my job as a flight attendant, sometimes I spend a lot of time in the hotels. So being alone in the hotels is actually really like I take that as a time to recharge, to regroup, and to release a
mm.
lot.
Well, basically, you're setting up your circumstances so that people know where your boundaries are, and you
Hmm.
coming home and taking a shower or bath is a sign for your kids you need some alone time,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And even how old are your kids?
My boys are 11 and 6.
Yeah, so you talking to them about you crying makes it easier for them to accept it instead of no, no, everything is okay, right? So the way that we were brought up usually, like, yeah, you hide your tears and whatever. I find like if any time you can release your emotions, be that as tears or be that as swearing, not at people, but just letting it out, letting your
Yes.
frustration out, you're not stuck with the energy in you. And that means you're not building up that aggravation more and more and more. You're regulating better because you're releasing whatever's there. And I'm the easiest to tear up. I can do that easily. I'm known for if you travel in the car with me and you have something that you need to get rid of, you probably will be in tears in the car with me. That happens quite often. But the thing is just I'm all for get rid of it, right?
Yes. Yes. For the longest time, we are so conditioned to keep it inside. And that goes for us adults, for the children, for the children, we tell them like, please behave. There no tears. Please stop crying, stop whining, stop anything. But I have seen how when we not finish the cycle with the emotion, whether it's frustration, whether it's anger, if there's no full cycle to where it happens, you feel it, and then you release it. When you don't have that release, it really shows up in adulthood at some point. And I really think that's how chronic illness happens.
Hmm.
Um, so as I have felt the power of releasing of releasing those moments and just kind of cycling through, like you said, regulating better because I notice how I don't feel as heavy. For a while, I have not felt this, my body changes, my bowel movement changes, like the way I feel, everything. And I'm at the point where I'm now reconnecting more with the body aspect of it. So I was doing a lot of work with the mind, like spiritual and stuff like that, but I was bypassing the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the body in this time, in this particular life, it is my vessel. So this vessel was not connecting with the spiritual aspect of it.
I find that's the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
We are all, especially when we are kind of mentally challenged in any way, whatever it is, whatever label you want to give it, be that ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
burnout, PTSD, whatever it is, we are all disconnected from our body, but our body holds the tension, our body
Yes.
counts, and our body heals. And constipation again is no bowel movement, which means your muscles are not working. They are so tight that they cannot release.
Yes.
Um, and all of that comes together like when your shoulders are up here and you're like, yeah, I have no neck. It's fine, but I'm fine. Um, it's interesting when and thankfully there's more and more people waking up, and I don't like the word waking up, but becoming aware of that they need to connect to their body, that they need to listen to their body, because when we're getting into pain and sickness and illness, it's your body already screaming at you, and it's
Yes.
not the beginning, it's usually the end, right?
Is usually the end. Absolutely. Yes. I couldn't agree more though. And I love, yeah, like you said, the waking up term. I don't necessarily love it either, but just rather, being in the right circumstance that you're starting to be more aware and discover and experiment. That's what I love to share with people. I'm like, it's just experiment. Honestly, if you don't like what you find out, you can always go back to the old version of where you were.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no shame, no judgment, but I can guarantee you that there is something better if
Mm.
you keep asking questions, if you keep experimenting, especially if you're not happy where you're at in that particular place, time, and moment. Yeah, I love sharing that because the experiments are the absolute best.
I always say become the explorer, become a child and explore the world, because we have been made into it grown-ups. We have been made into that box. We have been put into that box. And it's up to us to crawl out of it. And it's up to us to discover what's outside the box, what it feels like to step outside the box and become more than I am destined by other people. Let's say this.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love the box analogy though, because it really is like our conditioning is essentially a box that you are put in, and the box, you think it's truly tangible, like you can feel the walls of your box. But once you start opening the lid and you start kind of stepping out, you see that there are other ways to live. And as I do most of my work in transition. So I help families transition into home education. So the home education, you can do it many, many different ways, even going to school if you want to. But it is the knowledge and understanding that the body, your freedom, your alignment are important
Mhm.
and that you are important. So as people are starting to become more aware, they're also becoming aware of how the conditioning happens, and they begin to advocate for the tiny little humans that come into our care. And that is essentially where I find most value in the work. And the person that channeled human design, he often said it, human design isn't for us adults per se, it's for the children. And
Mm.
he would say that his most precious moments were when a parent would find out the design and the uniqueness of their child and how different they were from their parents, and we would begin to do things differently because we often parent from the way we were parent because that's our only example. So we're only following what was given to us, what was, essentially how they did it. But there are so many ways we're so different. So that's my also something that I find really valuable in my work is to see that awareness. Like my child is not me and
Mhm.
I am not my child. So we're both very different. And I
Mhm.
love that. That's the most beautiful thing.
And getting away from society, like society's expectations of
Yes.
things have to be, because basically again it's boxes and it's boundaries set by somebody else that has no, when it started those people had no idea of how we are today. And most of them that are stuck and I'm not saying we don't need society boundaries of society. Let's say it this way. Because we need rules and regulations. We need a way to compromise with each other.
Of course.
We need a way to live with each other. But on the other hand, when you install, and most kids have that in the beginning, and a knowledge of the energetic connection, and a knowledge of what's going on in the other person, basically a value for the other person instead of an evaluation of the other person, then they can go out and they can be friends and they can accept and they can be so much more than the structure of you have to compete, you have to be here, you have to do this, you have to do there, because basically everybody is caught up in that I need.
Mhm.
And in order to fulfill that need, you have to compete with somebody else. And that means not acknowledging what they need,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that is absolutely right. And there was an organization that we attended for a couple of months, but talking to what you say about needs, there every beginning of the sessions there would be some prayers. It was a religious organization, and but some of the things they would say is God first, others second, self last.
No.
And I could not get past that because this was a room, if we go back to, and that's what I told my husband. I'm like, I couldn't, like, I was so like, I'm like, I can't get past this. If we think about, we are all water, right? Like our bodies are mostly water. So the vibrations of sound move the water that is within us, right? So you have a room with around 60 or 70 people, and they are all in unison saying God first, which I believe in God, I believe in source, I believe in a higher power. Others second, I do also believe that we are to here to take care of each other, but I don't believe that we should be last. And I told my husband, I cannot I cannot be in this room and have the children repeating those words because I also believe what you utter into the universe brings to you. So I'm like, I cannot hear my children say to themselves every Tuesday that they are to be last
Mm-hmm.
and that other people's needs, whether they know them or not, matter before their needs. Like, I cannot do that. So we left, but it really got me thinking about how conditioned we are to say you're a bad person or you're selfish if you take care of your needs. And those are some of the things that I have worked through a lot with human design because there are some pieces, for example, that will see someone as selfish, but in reality, when you are to take care of your needs before you can help other people, like you cannot work from an empty cup. And I
No.
think, we all know that nowadays more than ever, we have all seen the burnout that we go through when we work from an empty cup. And not only that, how much society actually how society sees and praises people that work from an empty cup as a way to keep them going in that cycle. I'm like, no, thank you. That is not the way. I have worked from an empty cup. I have actually done that too. I have done both. I have worked from an empty cup and I have worked from a full cup. And I can tell you from my experience that working from a full cup, it's a much more wonderful place to be because it's also felt by the other person who I am now engaging with after my cup is full. They feel the difference because I am my vibration, my frequency, it's completely different. And you will tell because my face does not lie. I mean, I have gotten into trouble with people because my face says what my words cannot. And I have a lot of trouble hiding that. So yeah, it's so fascinating how the conditioning happens, but also how beautiful it is to see that conditioning slowly going away.
The thing too is that when your cup is full, you're more productive.
Yes,
So you can do more for others.
yes,
And
without a
I think
doubt.
that the saying that they use is too black and white. It's either or. It's not and. It's like there is no it's only me. There is me to be there for others. There's me that I can work through my things that I have to work through. I want to say shit. Um and if I'm not done with what concerns me, if I don't get me into a place where I'm resonating, where I'm out there, I cannot be there for others, right?
Correct.
That's the point. Or I will do a shitty job because I'm not 100%.
Without a doubt. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. Yes. And there's nothing more beautiful than to experiment how that shows up for you in your life. And I really believe that's the beauty of the whatever experiment you're on and wherever it's those moments when you see that happening that you're like, oh, this is works better. This works better for me, and it also works better for the other person. So, so stopping to do that, it's been hard actually to like slow down to really reflect on that, but I have seen that those reflections really bring some deep wisdom for me anyway, to continue doing the best that I can for myself. And then sharing with others. And like you said, sometimes it resonates and sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay.
Mhm.
That's okay. You have to find what works for you because I truly believe this life is it's we are here to be the best versions of ourselves, and we are here to live the best version of this beautiful life in this magnificent vessel that we have been given. So,
Yeah, the other part is too, like if you're in dissonance with something, um, it doesn't serve the other person either,
no, you're
right?
not doing
You're not
anyone any
doing
favors.
no, that's the thing. You cannot show up and does it mean to sometimes have to compromise to fulfill your needs and somebody else's? Yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you have to let go of your needs. That doesn't mean
Correct.
negate your needs.
Yes.
And
Yes,
that's what
your
people don't
needs
see.
matter.
It's never just black and white. There's all shades of
Mm-mm.
gray. And you can be in a good place with 60% white and 40% black. And you can also be in a good place with the vice versa. That's gray means there is different varieties of more me, more you.
Yes, and those varieties can come in and go because you could have a variety of a more darker shade of gray for a couple of months and then have a lighter shade of gray. And I just think we're just so so conditioned of having this final result, this final goal that it feels like you just want to get there. I'm like, there's no getting there, like until you kind of take a moment to see what's happening. So the shades of gray will change um throughout the journey. So yeah,
And
it's
again, most people don't realize the journey is the important part and not the goal.
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, we begin by being, born, and then the end, the goal is not necessarily dying, but that really is the end of the journey when we are no longer here. There are different points in between that and death, but they're not the end result. There's always something that's happening. So enjoy your life, live your best life. I can promise you that is what you came to this world to be.
So when somebody is in burnout, stress, overwhelm, if they come to you, how can human design help?
So first of all, the recognition that you are in burnout mode is the most powerful beginning that you can have because you know that you don't want to live that way. In human design, it's going to start you off by learning about your type, which is your specific one variation of your specific blueprint. It's going to start by showing you your authority, which is how you best make decisions. And it's going to start to show you your strategy, which is how you are when you feel in alignment and when you are out of alignment. So there are three pieces that human design is going to start you off with. Like I said, your type and how you make decisions, and then how you feel in alignment. So as you get those three pieces, you begin the experiment. And you can have a one-time, reading, or a one-time little introduction to human design with the foundations, and then experiment for a little more, because what's going to happen is that as you start to learn your type, for example, I am a manifesting generator. I started to reflect on the pieces of my chart and of my type, the characteristics of what a manifesting generator is. And I started to piece that together with different aspects of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then things will start coming up. And then your authority and how you best make decisions. There are different, about five authorities. So I have an emotional authority. And what that means is that my emotions have to be felt. The emotional wave has to be felt fully before I make a big decision. And I'll give you an example. My husband and I bought this beautiful house, which is a 100-year-old house, on the height of an emotional wave. Let me tell you that that was a mistake, not the house, because she knows that we love her and we have done a lot of work. But I can tell you that we reflected on how the decision was made to purchase a house. If we had waited for their emotional wave to pass, we would not be here. So what happens as you learn your human design and your authority, you start to kind of go back a little bit into your past. And then if you're in burnout mode, you'll see most likely that you have been out of alignment from your type and the way you make decisions. And those pieces are what brought you into burnout mode.
Mm-hmm.
So so you begin this reflection and you begin this journey into this forest that you've never been part of, that is completely new. If you think about it, you're standing at the edge of a forest and it looks dark because we are in burnout mode. We are at the end of the road. There's nothing else. So you go through it, but I can tell you there's a clearing coming up and you can see the rays of sunshine, because you start to realize that you are a powerful being. Whether you are a projector, a reflector, a generator, or a manifesting generator, or a manifester, your powers are here to help the collective in a very different way, because we all have different paths. There's just different ways for us to be here. So you start seeing your power and you start rebuilding your boundaries, which are usually non-existent when we reach burnout, right? Because we allow other people to come into our lives, to take our time, to take most of the things that are important to them, and we don't know how to say no. You begin to learn how to say no, what it feels like to say no. And it really depends also on your conditioning. So there's a lot of work involved once you start going into your human design, into this experiment. And it's okay. You don't have to do the deep work. I love the deep work. I
I can
live
tell.
for it. It's so juicy. And the more back that you can go back, the more backwards you go into childhood, because it all happens there.
Mm-hmm.
It all happens. We come into this world fully in alignment, fully. And then we slowly begin to be conditioned for different reasons because of school. School is a big conditioning for all of us adults that have been through the school system. So you begin to go back. So that's my passion. My passion is to go back. I go back to the root. I don't necessarily I look at like what's happening, but there's a root to what's happening. Like there's a starting point. And
Mm-hmm.
he has different, so you go back and you have something that happens a year ago, for example. And then, but that something that happened that year ago had also happened a couple of years back. So it's like it gets coded. It's like a big snowball. So it just builds and builds and builds, and it gets bigger and bigger until you can no longer push that thing. So if you're in burnout mode, I cannot recommend you a human design reading with me or anybody that you resonate, because we have thousands, maybe not thousands, but we have a lot of people that are doing extraordinary work. And your experience may resonate with someone else, with another reader that maybe perhaps doesn't have children, or they have more than one children or something like that. So, but just find the person you connect with and then just explore. I promise you, you will not regret it.
I
Yes.
would say even just having the initial reading done and getting to know your type
Yes, it's
will probably
powerful.
open your eyes, because that's what I find, like a lot of the things, like it didn't matter if it was Chinese horoscope or astrology, like the normal horoscope, the Western horoscope, or the human design. There were always bits and pieces that all of a sudden fell in place, and that made me be aware of how I had to shift my perspective, or
Yes.
how I had to um take care of me in a different way, which I never was aware of, right?
Yes. It's so
Any
different.
information you can get about yourself helps you to be more aware of what's going on and how and why things are happening to you.
Yeah, it's so different. It's so different. Do you know what is your type in human design?
I don't remember. I think
Oh, okay. It's
generator.
okay. 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 Yeah. So I am a 4/6 emotional manifesting generator. So I am fast. I move through different passions and I pivot. I skip steps and I pivot whenever it doesn't feel right anymore for me. So it's been the most liberating thing to know. It allowed me to just move forward. But when you're in burnout mode, you're so exhausted, all of your energy, you're completely depleted. You're just going on autopilot and you have no idea what's happening. So, just knowing your foundations will really give you a lot to start with,
Mm,
and tangible tips and practical aspects that you can apply into your life.
mm,
And it could be anything, I'm telling you. So, like I said, it changed our lives. So I am a big advocate for human design to be in the most expansive way possible. Like it's not meant to limit you, because you're just this powerful person. Yes.
yes, we all have the potential for everything. That's the most
Yes.
important part, and we are just limited by whatever has been put towards us and conditioned us. Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Yes.
That was
Absolutely.
amazing. We went for an hour
Oh my
almost.
goodness.
Yeah, so yes, almost, I think.
Yes. This is beautiful. Thank you so much.
I love the way that you're talking about things with so much passion.
I love it. This is
It
my, I
shows
love,
dear to your heart, and it's really important to you. And
yes.
if anybody resonates you, they find your information in the description. I can only recommend reach out to Julieta. Lip. Mumble my words. And explore human design. It's something else that you can tell you something about yourself. That's the most important part.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then go from
Yes.
there.
Yes. You are a beautiful person and you're here to live your best life. I'm sure of that. So,
Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon again.
yes. Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Thoughts are racing, spinning fast. Ideas flow, but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts untamed. Nothing ever stays the same. Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind. Ideas fade, all the shine.